Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Skills and Abilities. That's right, today we're going to be going over another one of the Sorceress cold spells. Except this time it's going to be 3 cold spells. I didn't see any reason to do a video on each individual armor because they're pretty much all the same with subtle differences. And I'd like to go over the armors today and talk about what the differences are between the armors, why specifically you might want to go with one armor over the other, and how you can get the most benefit out of the armors if you're trying to beef up that armor for a specific purpose, like maybe you're a melee sorceress or something. So first, let's just go over the armors, and then we'll talk about them. So Frozen Armor increases your defense and freezes enemies that hit you. So Frozen Armor actually has a pretty decent amount of defense, and we're going to go ahead and pump all these to their maximum level real quick. As you can see, Frozen Armor goes up to 180%, and it freezes for 14.4 seconds. So what does this mean exactly for our intrepid sorceress here? Well, when you're out there in the wild, I can't keep hitting the wrong button like an idiot. When you're out there in the wild, you need something to protect yourself, and there are quite a few different ways that you can protect yourself. Frozen Armor is one of them, and what it means is that when somebody hits you with Frozen Armor, you can freeze them in return, and this is obviously very, very useful. So if I were to go to Stony Field real quick, and I were to walk out here and let myself get beat on, which is probably going to hurt, you'll notice that if a monster hits me, they are immediately frozen in place. And the duration of the freeze is 14.4 seconds, but because of Nightmare and Hell difficulty penalties, the duration is decreased. So in Nightmare difficulty, it's 50% of the duration, so that 14.4 is only, 7.2 or something. And then in Hell difficulty, the 14.4 goes down by 66% down to 33% of its effectiveness, and so it's more like 4 seconds or something like that. But it's nowhere near as potent as it is in normal difficulty. So the main benefit of Frozen Armor is that it allows you to freeze the target that hits you. This can both be a positive and it can also be a negative. A negative to this would be that if a monster hits you and dies, and you didn't intentionally want them to die, either A, you were trying to keep them alive, or B, it could be a Stygian doll or other such monsters that when they hit you, they would immediately kill themselves and explode. This could be very detrimental because obviously if you're teleporting along and a doll hits you and then explodes, he could very well kill you in the middle of a teleport, which is bad, especially if you're in hardcore. The Shiver Armor, I feel like, is the worst of these, though, because it actually has a severe amount of damage to it, and we're going to go over this one next. So the Shiver Armor also increases your defense and damages enemies that hits you. Freezes and damages enemies that hit you. Now, I don't think this one actually freezes the targets. Let's double check real quick just for fun. Let me grab some potions so I don't die and make a fool out of myself. It doesn't cost anything to buy potions. Got nice little frost things coming out all over. You see them? Just like shooting out all over the place, like little ice crystals. And of course, when a monster hits me, you'll notice that they're not frozen. I don't know why it says freezes, because they don't actually get frozen. But it does do damage to them specifically. So this one does 671 to 749 damage. It also has a higher defensive bonus than the previous skill. So while Frozen Armor will freeze the target almost entirely and keep them from hitting you for a few seconds, which I feel like is the far superior defensive mechanic, Shiver Armor will apply a cold length of 42 seconds, which again, as we talked about before, is again penalized by the Nightmare and Hell difficulties. So Nightmare difficulty would be half of 42, which is 21, and Hell difficulty would be 1/3 of 42, which is more like 10 or something like that. And it's not a lot. But chill duration can be added from other effects. So if you have other abilities, you can add in more chill duration. It's actually a whole thing. As you can see, the duration of both of these is 904 seconds when maxed out, and it lasts a pretty long period of time, and especially when you start having plus to skills and things like that, that definitely isn't any issue. Then we have Chilling Armor. Now, Chilling Armor is probably one of the most interesting ones because it is available on several pieces of equipment, most notably Fortitude, and Chilling Armor offers a different ability, which is the ability to shoot an ice bolt directly at the target that is being mean to you. But it has to be a ranged monster, so it doesn't do anything to melee attackers. It only affects ranged attackers. It does have a very nice defensive ability, as you can see, 330% increased defense, and it does really high cold damage, but only to that ranged attacker, so 818 to 897. And it's been my experience that it doesn't really particularly matter how much damage that ranged attacker does to you, only that they shoot at you, and as soon as they shoot at you and hit you, a return bolt will immediately come back and hit them. As you can see here, we are fighting some Spike Fiends, and every single time that they hit me, it fires off a return pulse. This can also trigger on spells as well. So one of the things that I've noticed in my time of using Fortitudes is that if you're fighting a lightning enchanted monster, the lightning enchanted monsters, as they hit you with the lightning bolts, every single lightning enchanted bolt will trigger a return bolt. And I have literally seen situations where I was hitting a monster so ridiculously fast that the lightning bolts were coming out so ridiculously fast that the return Chilling Armor bolts were coming out so ridiculously fast, to the point where literally there was no gap in between the bolts coming from my Chilling Armor, which is actually kind of insane. So as you can see here, we have three very distinct different choices. They have their own positives and their own negatives. Specifically, Frozen Armor, main positive is the fact that it freezes the target. The other two do not freeze the target. And while it does have the lowest defensive bonus of the three, if you're in a situation where you're getting beat down by some monsters, the freezing effect may actually save your life, specifically because the monster will not be able to attack you, at least for the short duration that he is frozen. Even if it is only a brief repose, it is, well, better than not having that repose. Shiver Armor seems to be the better choice if you are trying to deliberately dish out damage to anything that hits you, whereas Frozen Armor doesn't really seem to have that much damage. I'm not even sure it does that much damage. It may just be a direct freeze. But it can be improved by beefing up some of the other armors, and this is something that I've always found as a negative with the armors, is that the armor synergies are the armor synergies. Nobody wants to build three armors. Okay, nobody wants to build three armors. As a sorceress, you pick one of these and you make that your main armor, and you don't use anything else. Whether it's Chilling Armor, Shiver Armor, or Frozen Armor, you're going to choose one, and more often than not, it's Frozen Armor, because nobody wants to build the synergies down to reach the other two. Like if you're a fire or a lightning sorceress and you're not going into the cold tree, you're not going to want to put 1, 2, 3, 4 points in to get down to Chilling Armor. You're going to just spend 1 point in Frozen Armor instead. And you're definitely not going to build the synergies for Frozen Armor, which I've never understood why the armors are linked together in synergies. It's one of the dumbest, I mean absolutely dirt dumbest things I've ever seen in this game, and I've seen some pretty dumb stuff. Nobody is going to drop 20, 21, 22, 42, 62 points into these armors to max out their effectiveness. It's just absolutely bonkers, especially when you consider that once you do that, you only have 42 skill points left to spend on something else. It's just silly. It's absolutely silly. And then, you know, you have to take away like 1 for warmth anyway, so 41. You've got to take away 1 for static, so that's, 40 left over. You've got to put 2 points to get teleport, so that's 38 left over. And then before you know it, you literally have nothing left, like, to actually build a workable skill with. I mean, you could just grab Frozen Orb, I guess, and just be an awesome tanky Frozen Orb sorceress, and hope you can find one of those beautiful Sunder Charms. But, you know, like, you barely have enough points to go down, max out Frozen Orb, and then you can't even really max out Cold Mastery, which sucks. I know I put one extra point into Glacial Spike that I didn't mean to, but it really wouldn't have made that much difference between level 12 and level 13. Now, which one should you specifically choose? This is a good question. If you're a sorceress and you're trying to choose which one of these that you would like to have, you're going to have to make that choice depending on what you're looking for. If you're in hardcore, I would probably avoid Chilling Armor and Shiver Armor because there's a very good chance that they can kill a target around you that you might not necessarily want to kill. And in the process, like I said, with the dolls, they could potentially get you killed. Chilling Armor, not so much as the latter, but keep in mind that if a monster were to, for instance, shoot at you, like I say, with a lightning bolt, and in between the monster that shot at you and yourself is a doll, and the bolt comes out, it's not going to pass over the doll to hit the gloam. It's just going to hit the doll, and the doll's going to explode and kill you. The dolls have relatively no HP anyway, so they're relatively easy to kill, and even something as low as 897 with Cold Mastery is more than enough to kill some of the dolls, especially if you get hit multiple times and trigger the effect multiple times. So in general, I think for hardcore, I do feel like Frozen Armor might be the better choice just in general. However, in softcore, where you don't really have to worry about that so much, the damaging ones might be a better choice. As you can clearly see, out of the three, Chilling Armor by far has the highest defense bonus. So if you're trying to get the highest defense bonus, Chilling Armor is your better bet there. And the little bolts that shoot out and hit the ranged attackers is not exactly terrible. I mean, it's just free damage, and they shoot at you a lot. Now, granted, you have to actually get hit for it to happen, but it's kind of nice to have a returning effect, so to speak. Shiver Armor does make a pretty good case, too, though, because it affects melee monsters. And I don't really feel like sorceresses have a huge issue with ranged characters because they are ranged themselves, and they can often attack from further away than the ranged monsters are capable of doing. And instead, it seems to be the melee monsters that they have more trouble with than the ranged. And so the difference between Frozen and Shiver is that Shiver is going to actually kill things around you. If you're using Shiver Armor in a group of monsters, there's a very good chance that those melee monsters are going to slowly kill themselves on your armor. Chilling Armor, on the other hand, it's not going to happen. Of course, they were freaking standing right there, and I still forgot to put points back into my health. Because I'm a fool in love. I had to sing that song, I'm sorry. It was important. It was importante. I will beat you down just because I didn't have my points in my vitality. Doesn't mean I can't slowly kill you by not doing anything. No, come back here. Come here. No. You started it. No. Exactly. So as you can see, the Shiver Armor actually does kill things. I'm fairly certain that the Frozen Armor doesn't, both for two reasons. Number one, it doesn't kill things because the monsters are generally frozen after they hit you. So even if, for instance, it did do a decent amount of damage to the targets, well, it's not going to because they're frozen. So so when they hit you, they're frozen and they're not going to hit you again until the freeze duration is up. So it's not really going to kill anything so much as it is just going to help prevent you from, taking a large amount of damage very quickly. Because, of course, they still hit you, but after they've hit you, they're frozen for a while. It interrupts their attack gate, which is very, very powerful to the sorceress and can help the sorceress escape. Specifically, if you are a teleporting sorceress who likes to teleport around, and you often teleport into groups of monsters, and there is a possibility that you could potentially die inside those groups of monsters, Frozen Armor is by far the better choice because if the monsters do hit you, they will get frozen. And in that time frame of them being frozen, you will have an opportunity to teleport out of that particular danger. Whereas with Shiver Armor, you're not in the same situation. Shiver Armor is not going to protect you from their continued blows like Frozen Armor does. Frozen Armor protects you from their continued blows by freezing the targets. Shiver Armor chills them and slows them down a little bit, but they're still going to be hitting you, and they're going to be continuously hitting you, and you might have a little bit of trouble teleporting out if they're still beating you down. Chilling Armor doesn't do either of those things unless they're ranged monsters. So if you teleport into a group of monsters with Chilling Armor, it's not going to help you at all, except for the defense bonus. And I think that's why Chilling Armor has the highest defense bonus of the three, is literally to make up for the fact that if you teleport into a group of monsters, it is doing the least for you. So hopefully the defense bonus will somehow counter that. I think that's pretty much everything as far as the armors go. I know I combined these into one video, but I felt like it was important to combine these into one video because we really needed to talk about the differences between these three armors and why one or the other would be a better choice. As always, thank you for watching, and get out there and cover yourself in ice and just freeze.